Hey, what is up everybody? It's Animac here for Anime Uproar, and today I will be talking about the new massive development in the 7 Deadly Sins sequel manga. Lancelot, the son of Ban and Elaine, has finally appeared in the series, although you could say that he's been there all along. And not only is Lancelot here, but he is also an absolute ruthless badass who takes no prisoners, and I love him already. This is huge for the 7 Deadly Sins sequel, so let's get into it. If you guys enjoy our 7 Deadly Sins and 4 Nights of the Apocalypse content and you want us to keep it going, leave a quick like and comment. It only takes a second, but it really helps with that YouTube algorithm. And if you're new to the channel or you watch our videos but you just haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, do me a quick favor and make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Subscribing is a totally free method of directly supporting this channel in a very real way. Finally, it should go without saying that this video will contain spoilers for the 4 Nights of the Apocalypse manga, so please proceed with caution, you have been warned. Okay, so if you've been following my 4 Nights of the Apocalypse coverage here on the channel, then you know that I've been saying since the beginning that Sin must be either Ban or Lancelot in disguise. That is because having a fox named Sin, who also happens to know members of the 7 Deadly Sins like Gother and a bunch of other extremely useful information, would be far too much of a coincidence if there wasn't a direct connection to either Ban or Lancelot. Well, in the most recent chapters, Sin's true identity was finally revealed. At this point in the story, Percival, Donnie, Naciens, Anne, and Sin are engaged in combat with the Dark Talismans, an order of 5 holy knights from Camelot who tried to kill our heroes inside the entangled forest. Percival and the gang were doing quite well thanks to Sin's excellent strategic advice, but in the end the Dark Talismans managed to corner our heroes and it looked like the fight was over. Percival managed to prolong the fight a bit thanks to the power of hope that his friends have placed in him, but that is when the 4 remaining Dark Talismans surround Sin, the fox. The Talismans have determined that Sin is the commander of the group. He is the reason why they are still alive, since he has been guiding them every step of the way. So the Talismans have decided to take Sin down first. If they eliminate the brains of the group, then Percival and the others will quickly collapse. According to the Talismans, Sin knows way too much about them and they can sense that he has a connection to the King of Leonis himself. So the Talismans isolate Sin from the others using Perfect Cube, and then they attempt to kill him before moving on to killing Percival and the others. To be perfectly clear, the Talismans are not trying to capture our heroes or scare them away, they are straight up trying to kill them. Sin proclaims that if the Talismans are ready to kill others, then they must be ready to be killed themselves. He then reveals his true identity, Lancelot, the son of Ban and Elaine. And he then proceeds to kill all the Talismans except for Fittich. Fittich is shocked that he's never heard the name Lancelot despite Lancelot being such an incredibly strong holy knight. Surely he would have heard rumors about such a legendary warrior. But Lancelot, the absolute Chadley badass, simply explains that rumors are spread by survivors, and he leaves no survivors. If anyone tries to kill him, he kills them first, and so no one is left to spread any rumors because dead men tell no tales. Whoa, this man is so badass, frickin' Lancelot Jaeger over here. We then learn that Lancelot uses a bow and arrow with amazing speed and accuracy, that he is left-handed, and that he possesses transformation magic. It is this magic that allows him to turn into a fox, and of course when he turns himself into a fox, he becomes a much smaller target for his opponents. On top of that, he has incredible offensive capabilities, both with his arrows and with his bare hands. He is able to kill one of the Talismans on the spot with just a punch to the abdomen. For his part, Fittich has a magic called Haste that gives him unbelievable speed, and in fact he can move so quickly that Percival and the others can't even follow his movements. Fittich tries to use this speed to attack Lancelot, but Lancelot is able to dodge without even breaking a sweat. In fact, Lancelot welcomes this battle as a nice little warm-up because being a fox for a long time makes him feel like his fighting skills are out of practice. No matter what Fittich does, and no matter how hard he does it, Lancelot is able to anticipate what he is doing and he dodges and counters it before Fittich can do anything. It's almost as if Lancelot can anticipate Fittich's movements before he even makes them, but more on that later. Lancelot then asks Fittich whether he knows a knight who has a helmet with a star-shaped visor. Fittich doesn't give a clear answer, he just says that he doesn't know what Lancelot means, but even from that non-answer, Lancelot is able to determine that Fittich knows the knight. Lancelot then asks a second question. Does Fittich know where Dubs, the master craftsman of the Giant Clan, is? This is of course the same Dubs from the Cursed by Light movie, which gives yet more credence to my argument that the movie is canon. Once again, even though Fittich doesn't really answer, Lancelot can tell that he doesn't know where Dubs is. At this point, Fittich realizes that Lancelot can somehow read his mind, which is why he was able to anticipate all his movements before he even made them. So Fittich just gives up on the fight entirely, and he attempts to use his amazing speed to run away. He wants to get back to Camelot and report this monster called Lancelot to King Arthur and the others. Fittich intends to make Lancelot one of the most wanted men in Britannia, along with all the Knights of the Apocalypse. But Lancelot just calmly takes Donnie's dagger and uses a spell called Shining Road to turn the dagger into some sort of homing missile. The dagger zooms through a pathway of light until it catches up to Fittich and destroys both him and his horse in a matter of seconds. Damn. Poor horse. As Percival and the others look on in shock, our boy Lancelot Jaeger simply restates his previous statement. Anyone who chooses to fight him will not live to tell the tale. Back in Camelot, King Arthur learns that the dark talismans have been destroyed as soon as it happens because a talisman that he had in his possession crumbles to pieces when they die. Arthur casually says that, oh boy, that was fast, so maybe he should take these so-called Knights of the Apocalypse more seriously. He asks Merlin if he should prioritize taking out the 4 knights over finding a bride, but Merlin just tells him to follow his own wishes. Bro, who hurt this man? Not only did he go and become a villain, but he's out here talking about finding a bride when he has Merlin right there. Arthur has completely lost his damn mind, and honestly, I'm getting more and more curious about what happened to make Arthur change so much during the time skip between the original series and the sequel. The more we learn about him and Merlin, the more fascinating this question becomes. Back in the Entangled Forest, Percival and the gang are struggling to come to terms with what an incredible badass Lancelot is. Anne is shocked that he is able to just kill the talismans without batting an eye. Percival is crying and thanking Lancelot for saving them. Donnie is upset that his dagger was broken, and Naciens is just like chilling, I guess. When Anne asks Lancelot why he was going around pretending to be a fox, Lancelot explains that he is a servant of the King of Leonis, and his mission is to track down a potential member of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse and bring him and his companions to Leonis. That is exactly what he has been doing with Percival and the others. His job was to guide them to Leonis while interfering as little as possible. I'm guessing that this journey of theirs was also a sort of test. Lancelot was observing Percy in order to determine whether he really was one of the prophesized Knights of the Apocalypse. So because this was a type of test, he didn't want to just take them all straight to Leonis. He wanted Percy to get stronger and prove himself during the journey itself. Lancelot disguised himself as a fox because he didn't want the Holy Knights of Camelot to discover who he was and what he was doing. But Lancelot was also the one looking out for Percy and the gang the whole time, like when he defeated all those demons back in Sistana and then said that his friends did it. So, it seems that Lancelot serves as a sort of secret agent for the King of Leonis, and transformation magic is basically the perfect magic for a secret agent, so Lancelot is very good at his job. He carries out important secret missions, and he keeps such a low profile that no one has ever heard of him before, and if they engage with him in battle, they don't live to tell about it. And unless something has changed in the last few years, we know that the King of Leonis is none other than Meliodas, so that means that Lancelot works directly for Meliodas himself. This is extremely cool because it means that we might actually see Meliodas in the story very soon. And I've been hoping for a long time that the main characters from the original story would start playing a bigger role in the sequel, so all of this is a great sign. As Lancelot proceeds to bury the dark talismans, Percy asks him about the 2 people whom Lancelot had inquired about. The knight with the star-shaped visor, and that craftsman. Lancelot simply replies that those questions were related to his personal business and they were not part of the mission. After Lancelot buries the talismans, he plants a seed at each grave, stating that even though they are dead, they can continue to exist as life in this forest. So, although Lancelot might appear to be ruthless for outright slaying all of his enemies, he does have a conscience and he does give his enemies a proper burial. And when we consider the fact that Lancelot only kills in self-defense after his enemies try to kill him first, it's clear that Lancelot is only ruthless when he has to be. Now, the fact that Lancelot can both read people's minds and transform his shape makes Naciens think that he may be from the fairy clan, and we of course know that he is half human and half fairy, but before Lancelot can even answer, Percy interrupts him with thoughts about poop. Meanwhile, our old friend Pelagard shows up and says that he wants to hang out with Percy and the gang. As you will recall, Pelagard is the Holy Knight of Camelot who wanted to make Percival his apprentice, and we met him in the first few chapters of the story. But before Pelagard can try to convince Percy to become his apprentice, Lancelot just transports them all right into the kingdom of Leonis, leaving Pelagard by himself in the forest. As Percy and the gang stare in amazement at the castle of Leonis, Lancelot tells them that the king is waiting for them, and that is how chapter 50 of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse ends. Bro, are we about to see Meliodas, Elizabeth, and maybe even Tristan in the sequel for the very first time? This is honestly awesome. I loved Lancelot's intro. He seems to be like such a cool character already, and it looks like he is about to introduce Percy and the gang to Meliodas. This means that we are about to get some crucial information about what really happened during the time skip, and it also seems like the main characters from the original could start playing a much bigger role in the sequel, which is awesome. Personally, I've been really enjoying the Four Knights of the Apocalypse so far, even though like every new manga it had some slower arcs that served as an introduction to the new main characters, and that is to be expected. But now, with 50 chapters behind us and everything that just happened surrounding this Lancelot reveal, I am extremely excited to see where this story is going to go from here. I have never been more excited about reading the next chapter of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse than I have been in the last few weeks. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Let me know down in the comments if you agree that the story has become just so much better with the appearance of Lancelot. And speaking of Lancelot, what was all of that about his personal business? That knight with the star-shaped visor that he mentions was actually shown very briefly back in chapter 6. In that chapter, he looked like just some random NPC, but I guess he's actually important to the story. Why do you guys think that Lancelot is looking for this knight in particular? Could he also be someone we already know in disguise? Comment down below who you think the knight with the star-shaped visor is. And speaking of chapter 6, that is the same chapter in which we got those brief descriptions of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse based on some prophecies that the Knights of Camelot have access to. One of the knights was described as a child with verdant, wing-like hair, and that child is of course Percival. Another is described as a mysterious lad with no fixed appearance, and that description seems to fit Lancelot perfectly. We also have a boy with holiness and evil in his eyes, a description which matches Tristan, who is the son of a goddess and a demon. And finally, we have a boy bearing gold-colored magic, and that is the only member of the Four Knights whose identity we still don't know. I think it could be the child of King and Diane, but that's just speculation. Definitely drop a comment with your thoughts on who the fourth Knight of the Apocalypse is going to be. Also, why is Lancelot looking for Dubs? Is Dubs the one who will give Lancelot that lance that we see in chapter 5, the lance that belongs to the Knight of War? Out of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, the Knight of War is the one whose hairstyle matches Lancelot's, so it's likely that the Knight of War is supposed to be an older Lancelot. The Knight of Death is of course an older Percival, the Knight of Pestilence looks like an older Tristan, and the Knight of Famine is the fourth Knight of the Apocalypse. Finally, I really want to know what happened to Lancelot and Jericho between the time that they disappeared and now. Was Lancelot abducted by the Lady of the Lake? And if so, what happened then? How did he free himself? And of course, how did he start working for the King of Leonis? And last but not least, where is my underrated waifu queen, Jericho? Seriously though, so far Lancelot's reveal was simply amazing. I love him as a character, I love his many awesome magical abilities, including of course reading minds, shape-shifting, those arrows, shining road, it's just so cool. I am super excited to learn more about what happened to Lancelot during the time skip, and I can't wait to see what happens next. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more in the future, just leave a quick like. It only takes a second, but it helps a lot. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Anime Uproar if you haven't already. You might think it doesn't matter, but subscribing actually helps me out a lot on YouTube. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Anime Uproar. I want to give a big thank you to all of our Anime Uproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. Special thank you to Kyle Salisbury. This man is an absolute mad lad and a disciple of Lord Twigo himself. And I can't forget all of our The One tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans. including Alpha Sigma, Ingrata, Aljatal, Pate Heffa, the red-haired fox, Hinokami and Water, the toasted Chi, Corey McGowan, Spidey Leftanel, Tungsten Tarkus, Big Buddhist, and Jeremy Cummings. Finally, thank you also to our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Steelers, Angel Cruz, Alicia Octor, Bonnie Parks, Joanne Garcia, Fatboy Games, Kaido Might Be a Duck, Jessica Rabbit, Jeremy Phillips, and Olivania. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value for you, consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron-exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos, along with these amazing people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.